Hear us? Yes?
I don't know if we can, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right, we'll try again, beginning here. I don't think I have to, people have probably already heard saying my name here, but just in case, just to start off again. We're here for the Danvers Planning Board meeting, January 27, 2026. Lou George, the chair, and it's 7:14 p.m. I'm joined here today by Jean Hartnett, our clerk, Michael DeCoulis, a member. Also, I'm joined by Josh Morris, principal planner with the town of Danvers, and Jim Sears, a member, is unable to be joining us today. So let's begin with our agenda. So the first agenda item, this is actually going to be a request for a continuance, but I'm going to read the agenda item. This is a public hearing for 98 Newbury Street. It's a request for site plan review submitted by Timar Properties LLC for property at 98 Newbury Street, map 40, lot 10, pursuant to section 4 site plan review and a waiver from section 10.3.g, width of access drives of the zoning bylaw. Said property is in the highway corridor zone zoning district. The applicant is proposing to expand the existing mobile home park with the addition of 24 new mobile homes with associated site modifications. And it's my understanding that there is a request for a continuance to the February 10th, 2026 Planning Board meeting. Josh?
That's correct.
Okay. Very good. Is there, is the applicant present here today?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Attorney McCann, you were just requesting a continuance? I'm sorry, just so we could introduce it to the, since you are here, just wanted to.
I'm here.
Of course.
Thank you very much. My name is Nancy McCann. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, and we have requested a continuance to your next meeting to allow us time to finish up responses to the engineering department comments.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, any questions by members of the board on the request? Okay. Can I entertain a motion to continue the continue this matter to the February 10th, 2026 Planning Board meeting?
I make a motion, we continue 98 Newbury Street to the February 10th, 2026 Planning Board meeting.
Second.
There's a second. Okay, so there's a first by Jean Hartnett, second by Michael DeCoulis. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, it's continued. All right, so our next agenda item is a public hearing of 200 Endicott Street. So a request for site plan review submitted by Raising Cane's Restaurants, LLC, for property at 200 Endicott Street, map 62, lot 5, pursuant to section 4 site plan review of the zoning bylaw. Said property is in the commercial 3, C3 zoning district. The applicant proposes a standalone restaurant with a drive-through and associated site modifications. And I see the applicant is here. And just so as you're aware as well, we have 3 members present today.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Nancy McCann. I'm here on behalf of Raising Cane's Restaurants, LLC, with regard to the property at 200 Endicott Street, requesting site plan approval, site plan review, under Section 4 of the zoning bylaw. With me tonight, remotely, we have Melissa Broschel with Raising Cane's. Matt Ashley, the project engineer, is here this evening with me tonight. Jason Adams, our traffic engineer, is here remotely, as is Spencer McNichol, the project architect. We presented a very full and detailed presentation of our application back on August 12th. And we've been very busy since that time, and we're happy to be back before you tonight. Just briefly to summarize this project, Raising Cane's is a national restaurant. We discussed that in some detail at the last meeting, specializing in quality chicken fingers, limited menu chicken fingers, coleslaw, fries, chicken sandwich, and that's it. They're known for their chicken fingers. And this is a fast food restaurant with a drive-through. That is a permitted use by right in the C3 zoning district where this property is located. A portion of this site is located in Peabody, but the entire building is located in Danvers, and we reviewed that with you again the last time. This property currently has a large office building, 6,604 square feet. That's an office building. And we are proposing the removal of that building. There are also 3 existing curb cuts. And we are proposing, with the removal of the 6,600 square foot building, we are constructing a new approximately 3,300 square foot, so a significantly smaller building. We're also reducing the number of curb cuts from 3 curb cuts down to 2 curb cuts. That was, we made a detailed presentation. We reviewed the entire submission package and all of the portions of that package. The site has been designed to fully comply with the zoning bylaw and all of the dimensional and density regulations, as well as the submission regulations. In addition to the full technical review that we presented, we also provided a full traffic report as well during that initial hearing. We were originally seeking, in addition to site plan review, we were seeking a sign bylaw waiver / variance under the new signage category, and I'll go through that, but we are no longer seeking that because that review was done by the Board of Appeals. We certainly appreciate the time that the board spent in the August 12th meeting, and at the conclusion of that meeting, we were left with primarily two issues. One was signage, because at that time, we had applied to this board for the zoning relief relative to the signage, and after the meeting, it was determined by planning staff that under the new sign bylaw, the Board of Appeals is actually the zoning agency to give us, the zoning board to give us the relief that we needed, and we sought and received our waiver variance from the Board of Appeals for the signage package. So signage is no longer before this board. That has been fully reviewed and permitted by the Board of Appeals. The other item that was left, so that took that item off of the table. The next item and only other item that this board had was traffic. And although we did make a full presentation at the August meeting, this board, at the end of that meeting, requested a third-party peer review, traffic peer review, that would be at the applicant's cost. And the town chose Howard Stein Hudson to conduct that third-party peer review. That peer review was extensive and detailed. There were a number of meetings between Howard Stein Hudson and the applicant's team, as well as with planning staff. And we have completed that peer review. You have your final peer review dated December 8th from Howard Stein Hudson. We'll present to you tonight the modifications to the site plan that resulted from both the engineering department review as well as the peer review. We have a couple of final items to mention. We went through 3 rounds of comments back and forth with the engineering department, and we have a final comment letter dated December 9th from the Town Engineering Department finding that all engineering department comments have been addressed. In addition, since our last meeting, the Peabody Planning Board has issued site plan approval. The Peabody Conservation Commission has issued its order. The Danvers Conservation Commission has approved the project as well. So again, we've accomplished quite a bit. So what we'd like to do, I think, at this point is have our project engineer, Matt Ashley, review with you the modifications to the plans that have been made to address engineering department comments, as well, of course, the traffic peer review comments. And so I'll turn it over now to Matt Ashley.
Great. Thank you. again, if you could just introduce yourself for the record, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Matthew Ashley with Bowler Engineering, civil site engineer for the development. So this picture that Josh has put up for us is just context again for anyone that may have forgotten where the site is, right across from the Sylvan Street Grill, right at the intersection of Endicott and Sylvan on the corner, the former Fidelity building. Next slide, please. This is just a zoom in, again, just of the lot specifically, and just kind of showing you the existing impervious area that's out there right now. Very limited landscaping out there, and there is the river right to the rear of the site that brought us into jurisdiction for Peabody and Danvers Conservation. Next slide, please. So this is the updated site plan that went through numerous revisions, not only with Danvers, but with the with City of Peabody as well. I do say numerous revisions. If you go back and take a look at what it was before, really not that much of a difference. As I like to say, everything that we do usually gets buried underground, and that's what you're going to notice. So from a site layout perspective, the biggest changes since we were here back in August is the building and drive-through shifted, actually really just the building shifted to the plan right. I think just about like 12 to 15 feet. So what that did is moved the driveway on Endicott Street as far right as we could, plan right, to provide some further separation from that existing intersection out there. And that was done through the engineering department and the town's peer review consultant for traffic as well. And I'll let Jason go into the specifics of the traffic. I'll just talk about the site-related features. So in addition to moving that driveway to the right, which is a right-in, right-out, Keynes is proposing an improvement to the intersection with additional striping coming through the intersection. So if you're coming from Sylvan onto Endicott, it will direct you onto the left side of the lane. And then there's that bare right feature onto Endicott as well. We're introducing some striping to provide a little bit of a buffer for someone that is coming out and turning right onto Endicott Street. In addition to that, on the other side of the town line, down in Peabody, we worked through some driveway improvements there to further restrict a right-in, right-out per the recommendation of their engineering department, police department, and fire.
Excuse me, not to interrupt, just to clarify, that's from consultations with the City of Peabody, is that?
Correct, yep.
Very
Just trying to highlight all the differences that we've had here, just for reference. Along with the City of Peabody, we went through a full stormwater peer review, and largest updates there is we just got some additional soil information out there, made some slight modifications to the stormwater system, size of chambers and outlets. Everything's basically the same, just a little more tweaks as the more data we got for that. Other than that, there was a increase in impervious surface from the adjustment, so that's always a win there. If you can go to the next slide, please. So along with that, one more, sorry, I think I had duplicates in there. There we go. We introduced some more landscaping features as well. So pretty robust landscaping plan that I typically see from any type of development. And specifically, a lot more plantings were added down in the riverfront area. And then additionally, where we added some more landscape on the plan left when we shifted everything to the right a little bit there. Next slide, please. And with that, I'll hand it off to Jason just to update some of the traffic review that we went through and highlight those changes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Great. Jason Adams with Bowman Consulting. As was mentioned previously by Attorney McCann, we had completed the traffic impact study that was presented to the board back in August. We have worked through a comprehensive peer review with the town's consultant, HSH. They had originally prepared a peer review letter back in October, consisted of about 12 comments with some additional requests. We worked through those comments, having a coordination meeting with HSH as well as Town of Danvers Planning and Engineering departments, received a few additional comments through that process and prepared our response, which was submitted at the end of November. The crux of which is what Matt just went over, resulting in the site plan changes. We feel that they were all positive in terms of improving project access and safety, notably moving the driveway a bit to the east away from the signalized intersection, as well as some improvements at the signalized intersection. If you could, Josh, could you just go back to I think it was sheet 5, one more back. Yeah, so on the left side of this plan on Sylvan Street, you can see the introduction of yield-controlled movement for the northbound right turn. So vehicles coming northbound on Sylvan Street, heading towards the top of the page and turning right onto Endicott Street would now be placed under yield control. Just doing what we can within the confines of the existing intersection to introduce some additional traffic control, improve visibility, and as Matt said, improve the overall access of the site. We feel we have what we'd consider a clean peer review letter that was submitted back from HSH in December of last year, and feel as though the improvements that Matt and his team have been able to incorporate wrap up nicely a great collaboration between our project team and the town of Danvers. Happy to speak to anything specifically, but that's the overview on traffic.
Okay.
I think that's really it to present to you tonight. I would like to thank the Town of Danvers planning staff, specifically Josh and his crew, for working with us on this. There's been a lot of good collaboration back and forth in responding to comments, and I think we have reached a good no further comments, no further action required from both the engineering department as well as the peer review consultant. And we're excited to move forward with this, so we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, Attorney McCann. Turn it over to the board with any turn it back to the board with any questions. This is a public hearing as well, so if there are any questions or comments from members of the public, we then ask for that as well. Then we'll come back to the board. So why don't we start with Mike DeCoulis. Any questions for the applicant?
I just had a quick question about the vehicular circulation. I was looking at the fire truck and the WB50, I think it was, shown. The WB50, they already show it kind of in the parking lot area. It doesn't show it kind of entering into the parking lot area. It's on C304 if you're looking for it, Josh. I don't know if you were. I'm just trying to understand. I assume it's mountable curbs is my guess for both the fire truck and the WB50, but I'm just trying to understand the flow of that. And then also, like a delivery path, and like obviously this shows them coming from Peabody and turning right, but if someone is coming down Endicott Street from the highway from 128, how are they getting into the site? Are they making a U-turn at the end of the site and then turning right into the site? Just trying to
I think it
understand
might
it.
be easier if I come to the board.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you can use the microphone down there.
Which
Bottom
bottom?
left is the WB50, and then bottom right, I think, is the
Okay.
fire
And
truck.
just for minutes purposes, if you can identify yourself again before
Yeah.
speaking.
Matthew Ashley with Bowler.
W50. Yeah. Okay.
So we ran a number of different scenarios depending on where the truck would come from. So if it was coming up Sylvan Street,
Yep.
it would enter through here. That center island is mountable for a larger vehicle, for emergency vehicles or trucks. A passenger car would definitely not want to go over that. And we worked very closely with the city of Peabody on what that detail wanted to look like there. So deliveries specifically, the truck is going to come in, turn up kind of next to the side of this, the building here, and then actually back down in, and loading takes place right through here. And through the back door. And then from there, it will pull straight out and then go right onto Sylvan Street. And that's kind of the route that it would have to take.
So it would have to come from Sylvan. So if it's coming off 128, it's going to have to loop down towards 114 and turn around down there somewhere?
Yeah, it would come, I guess it'd get off by the North Shore Mall and come up that way and then come right up Sylvan Street.
Okay.
Yep.
And then a passenger car, I guess, if it's coming down Endicott Street heading west, would make a U-turn to get into the site?
I don't know, Jason, do you want to take that one? I know you looked at this extensively with everyone here.
Yes, yeah, that is certainly an option that they could take a U-turn as part of this improvement. The part of the package we talked through with the town and HSH was to introduce some additional signage to direct U-turning vehicles into the appropriate lane should they want to make a U-turn at the signal. And again, as we talked about in August, I think there's a number of ways that vehicles can navigate this depending on where they're coming from and going to. But if they were directly on Endicott Street right there, they could take a U-turn at the signal.
Okay. And then I assume the fire truck is Danvers fire, not Peabody, or is it potentially both?
We ran both from and coming in either entrance to navigate it through, and ran even before we started the planning process. We talked about that with them and got the okay on how they wanted the truck to navigate the site.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I have for questions. Appreciate the effort you guys made on this. Thanks.
Jean, any questions at all or comments?
Yeah, can you just explain a little bit more? What is preventing a vehicle from taking a left off of Sylvan Street into the lot?
Preventing a left onto Sylvan Street?
From Sylvan Street,
Into the site,
like,
right?
is there a median or something? I know you said that it was restricted to right in, right out.
Yep. So first offense is we have lots of signage there, specifically what the city of Peabody wanted. And then these two blocks right here are raised, so it's kind of like a mountable curb for larger vehicles to get over, like I mentioned. And then additionally in that, it's kind of like scored concrete. And then that right lane, we took as hard of a right as we could with this median to try to prevent anyone from
Okay.
coming in and
So
out
they
that
would
way.
have to really go out of their way to go around it, plus the
Yes.
signage. Okay.
Yep.
And then I think one of the things we asked for in the last meeting was if you could look at a sidewalk going around that, like, sort of corner. Did you end up making that work? Because I know it stops at the crosswalk and doesn't continue around.
Yeah, so the sidewalk does come up Sylvan Street up to that corner. And then we did look at the possibility of adding something up there. But with the grades and where the right-of-way line is, it didn't seem like the appropriate feeling. Especially it would go off into, it just kind of end and bring you to nowhere, no crossing,
Okay.
no continued sidewalk. So what does make sense is there is an existing sidewalk that gets you across right at that intersection where we'd want pedestrians to go.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I have just a couple of questions just in terms of the traffic peer review. So you meant there was no outstanding items at all left from the traffic peer review?
Nope.
Correct.
Actually, if the, I believe we have a representative from the,
Yeah, Michael White with Howard Stein Hudson, the town's peer reviewer.
great.
In the last round of peer review comments that we left, all of the responses we received were sufficient in our eyes, and there were no further action required.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Of course.
That's good. I do have a couple of some follow-up questions for the applicant, just with respect to, so I know there's, and I know it was mentioned in terms of that, in terms of your, went through, Conservation Commission, both Town of Danvers and City of Peabody, and Planning Board as well in terms of City of Peabody. I know that their area, they weren't dealing with the building. Any changes based upon their review?
The biggest changes that we had were from the stormwater peer review. We just ran some additional test pits and infiltration testing. Didn't actually update the system too much in terms of that. It was just more how it was shown and what we were taking credit for. We did make some updates to the site driveway in Peabody, like we talked about, bulking up that detail that everyone was happy with. Other than that, enhanced landscaping package in the riverfront area.
Okay.
But other than that, there really was no other major updates from that process.
Okay. And then just some questions. Also, I know that there has been some change since the, since we last saw you all with respect to signage, just because the Zoning Board of Appeals, address that. If you could just go and just give just a quick summary of sort of the differences we see. I understand it's not part of our, it's no longer part of our purview. Could you just give an explanation in terms of what's, what changed since what we saw back in August? Because I know we had a fair amount of discussion about that.
Yes, really nothing changed. There is a freestanding sign proposed.
Okay.
There are 4 wall signs, 1 on each of the facades. There is a red dog sign. There is a mural. And there is a canopy sign that says One Love. The mural and the canopy sign, based on this new bylaw that you have, are permitted. So those didn't require anything.
Okay.
And the total area of signage, we needed a waiver on that, and we received that. The freestanding sign was as we had presented it to you, and the attached wall signs were approved as well. So it's a similar package to what you saw.
Okay, got it. Okay. In terms of just sort of follow-up now, sort of coming from here, I know that there's I know you said you've worked a lot with in terms of planning staff. So what sort of what are sort of follow-ups in terms of evaluating traffic and that sort of thing after this is, in terms of once we've gotten past, once we're getting into construction and operation?
What the applicant has proposed is during the first 30 days of operation, we call that our initial operating period, there will be a police detail every day from 10 to 2 and 4 to 8 for the first 30 days. And then we are proposing coming back to the planning board after a 6-month period after the initial operating period. So we have the initial operating period where we'll have a police detail every day for 30 days.
Okay.
Then from the end of that period, 6 months out, we'll come back to the planning board and review, making sure that internal circulation is working well, that the curb cuts are working as designed and as anticipated. Then if between the period of time at the end of the initial review period and that 6-month period, we discussed with staff a trigger. If there are certain things that happen, if there are too many conflicts, if you will, collisions, there's a trigger where the police detail would be reinstated. And then we would meet within 7 days of that with planning staff.
Okay.
Say what do we need to look at to address any situation. But we're very confident with our traffic design and with the traffic information that Jason Adams and his team came up with, as well as with the input and the review that was done by HSH. We're very confident that the traffic is going to work well, and we think that there are certain measures that are being put in place here that will actually benefit over existing conditions.
And if at the 6-month period as well, if there is some sort of, if there's any issues that are arising and such as well, there could be an additional trigger for some additional study, is that?
We'd come back to the planning board, and the planning board would have the ability, if need is shown, to have an additional study done to see if there are any issues that need to be addressed at the curb cuts or a review. Generally, the planning board could request that.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Sounds good. Any further questions from members of the board before I turn? This is a public hearing, so if we have any members of the public who wanted to ask a question or a comment, they may. Okay. I have a very large group here on a snowy night.
Lou, I have a quick question, actually. Do you have an anticipated construction and opening date, just out of curiosity? Maybe someone online raising canes, I'm not sure.
That's a good question.
Perhaps Melissa, would you like to speak to that? Anticipated construction start and opening?
We would like to start construction as soon as we get our approvals. So the quicker we're able to make it through building review, the sooner we'll get started with construction. We would like to start this year, so the sooner the better.
And is construction time like a year? Is it less?
Roughly, I would target about 6 months.
Wow, okay. It's quick. Thank you.
So ideally, then you'd be
Thank you.
looking at an opening sometime, later on this year, ideally, I guess. Is that what you're?
Ideally, yes.
So, yes, so construction start at what we're targeting right now, if everything goes as planned. We're looking at a potential demo start in September. If we can get started sooner than that, we would certainly like to.
And I'm sorry, could you mind just identifying yourself for the
Sure.
record?
Melissa Brochel with Raising Cane's.
Great, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
any further? Josh from town staff, anything that you wanted to point out or either for us or members of the public?
No, I mean, there's been a robust conversation with the town and with the assistance of Howard St. Hudson on this matter. There's always, from Raising Cane's perspective, obviously they're hoping that they get a lot of customers, and we'll be happy if they do. But that's the traffic and circulation has always been, concern might be too strong of a word, but we're certainly interested and, want to make sure that it's functioning and it's safe, right, for, people entering and leaving. So, this application, as I said in my office today, this was dropped off in June of 2025. So, it's been a while, but, yeah. The draft decision has a number of conditions that we think are appropriate and related to traffic and circulation. So that's pretty much it from where I sit.
No, I mean, I just, from where I'm sitting, at least, I know a concern that I had back in August was just, I know I think other members as well, with respect to traffic circulation in terms of where it was in the, where it was situated in terms of that corner and sort of, and the prior use being a different use. I mean, it was a different in terms of it was it was a fidelity office, which didn't get that same. And so I appreciate all the work that went into the, both in terms of the initial traffic study as well as the peer review and consultations with planning staff, engineering, just to make sure that, and that also that there are some mechanisms in play so that if everything, all plans, everything's all planned, if in reality there's something that, that comes up, that there's, I think having the police details, I think the coming back at 6 months, really, 6 months after the initial operating period, just to ensure everything is working okay, along with the potential trigger either for some additional traffic review, or if there's issues in terms of the police detail, if there's accidents or something like that, that sort of to reinstate that. So I think that's all good good safeguards, and I'm happy that this is that's going to be that'll be part of the decision. So.
Thank you.
Yep. So any further comments or questions? Okay. All right. So then in that case, we can, if there's no further questions or comments on this, I could entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion to close the public hearing for 200 Endicott Street.
Second.
Very good. Motion's been made by Jean, seconded by Mike DeCoulis. Any discussion on the motion to close the public hearing? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to close public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, so moving on then to the main matter. So this is for 200 Endicott Street. I think we have a draft decision for site plan review. So can I ask the clerk to read that?
Yep. Site plan review, 200 Endicott Street. Date of application, June 12th, 2025. Date of hearings, August 12th, 2025, October 28th, 2025, no public testimony. December 9th, 2025, no public testimony. January 13th, 2026, no public testimony. January 27th, 2026. Date of decision, January 27th, 2026. The Danvers Planning Board finds the site plan submitted by Raising Cane's Restaurant LLC for property at 200 Endicott Street, Assessors Map 62, Lot 5, to be in substantial compliance with the criteria and regulations adopted by the town. Details of the plan review can be found on the following plans. Proposed site development plans for Raising Cane's proposed restaurant with drive-through location of Site 200 Endicott Street, Town of Danvers, 15 Sylvan Street, City of Peabody, Map 30, Lot 12, Map 39, Lot 49, Essex County, Massachusetts, prepared by Bowler Engineering, dated May 29th, 2025, revised to December 8th, 2025, consisting of 25 sheets. Supporting materials include elevation and a floor plan prepared by ADA Architects, dated April 24th, 2025, drainage report prepared by Bowler Engineering, dated May 29th, 2025, revised to September 24th, 2025, traffic impact study prepared by Bauman Consulting Group, dated May 21st, 2025, and a neighbor delivery truck turning exhibit prepared by Bowler Engineering, dated December 1st, 2025. The following submission requirements have been waived. 1. Section 4.3.1, title sheet, existing contours at 1 foot intervals are shown on the existing condition/demolition plan, C-201, and grading plan, C-401. 2. Section 4.3.2, site analysis plan. No site analysis plan submitted. Existing contours at 1 foot intervals and wetland boundaries are shown on the existing condition/demolition plan, C-201, and grading plan, C-401. The locations of soil tests are shown on grading plan C-401 and drainage and utility plan C-501. 3. Section 4.3.3 Dimensional Regulations Plan. A zoning dimensional table is shown on the site keynote plan C-301. 4. Section 4.3.4 Site Construction Plan. Site Construction Plan is entitled the Site Keynote Plan C-301. Existing and proposed contours are shown on the existing condition/demolition plan C-201 and grading plan C-401. 5. Section 4.3.6 Utilities Plan. No profile of the utilities is shown on the plan. 6. Section 4.3.7 Landscape Plan. The methods for protecting the plant material during construction is shown on the landscape notes and details L-102. The yard setbacks are shown on the dimensional control plan C-302. Wetland boundaries are shown on the existing condition/demolition plan C-201 and grading plan C-401. A table showing the percentage of existing and proposed impervious surface is shown on the site keynote plan C-301. 7. Section 4.3.8 Off-Street Parking and Loading Plan. The off-street parking and loading plan is entitled the Site Keynote Plan C-301. The construction details and type of material is shown on the construction details C-901 to C-907. Conditions of approval. The project is subject to the following conditions. 1. Prior to issuance of a building permit, this site plan decision shall be recorded at the Southern Essex Registry of Deeds. 2. Prior to endorsement of the site plan, the following revisions shall be made. A. The incorporation of the comments and/or modifications stated in the Danvers Electric Division Memorandum dated July 3rd, 2025. 3. The site exit onto Endicott Street shall be controlled by police detail for peak business hours from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. every day during the first 30 days following the business opening, initial opening period, and paid for by the applicant. 4. In the event that any of the following occurs, A. An equivalent property damage only EPDO index greater than or equal to 108 or more at the Endicott Street site access and driveway within 6 months of the following the initial opening period. B. More than 3 collisions at the Endicott Street site driveway within 6 months following the initial opening period. The police detail at the site exit onto Endicott Street will be reinstated during off-peak business hours until a meeting with the planning staff is held to discuss resolutions. Meeting with planning staff shall be held within 7 days of reinstatement of police detail. 5, the applicant is required to come back to the planning board 6 months following the initial operating period to ensure that site access and egress within the town of Danvers jurisdiction and interior circulation is functioning as intended to provide an opportunity to resolve any issues pertaining to motor vehicle, pedestrian, or bicycle conflicts, site circulation, or movements related to site access on Sylvan Street or Endicott Street in the town of Danvers. If deemed necessary by the planning board, the town may hire a third-party traffic engineering consultant firm paid by the applicant operator 53G outside consultant to evaluate the turning movement patterns of vehicles entering and exiting the site from Endicott Street and or Sylvan Street, review crash data and or perform a roadway safety audit, RSA, to provide recommendations for safety improvements to the site curb cuts. 6, the applicant shall provide town staff with crash data from movements related to site access obtained from the Danvers Police Department for the 1 Endicott Street and Sylvan Street intersections, as well as crash data at the 2 site driveway on Endicott Street for the 6 months following the initial operating period. 7, queuing onto Endicott Street is prohibited. Employees shall monitor and manage the parking lot and drive-through lanes at all times to avoid queuing onto the street. In the event that queuing is occurring onto Endicott Street, the applicant/operator shall meet with town staff to determine a resolution. 8, prior to the certificate of occupancy, CO, the applicant shall seek approval from the select board for the installation of a yield sign and associated yield and traffic markings on the Sylvan Street northbound right turn lane onto Endicott Street. The yield sign shall be located within the town's right-of-way, ROW, while maintaining ADA compliance. 9, prior to certificate of occupancy, CO, the applicant shall install all the proposed thermoplastic reflective pavement markings in the town right-of-way as shown on the site plan in consultation and to the satisfaction of Danvers DPW according to industry standards. Prior to the certificate of occupancy, CO, the applicant shall make a one-time donation to the cost of maintenance of the thermoplastic reflective pavement markings in the amount of $6,900. 10, the applicant will satisfy all the comments in the Danvers Electric Division memorandum dated July 3rd, 2025. 11, the applicant will satisfy all the comments in the Danvers Engineering Division memorandum dated December 9th, 2025. 12, if there are any changes to the approved plans, the use, or the conditions on premises, planning staff will review. If deemed a major change by staff, the applicant will have to apply for a new application for site plan review. This project is subject to the attached list of general conditions. Any approval of this site plan review shall lapse within 3 years from the grant thereof if construction has not begun by such date.
Okay, thank you. A motion's been made. Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay, second by Mike DeCoulis. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. It
Thank you
passes.
very much.
Okay,
And again, we
Thank you.
appreciate your time and staff's time on this project.
absolutely. Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank
Yep. Okay. All right, so moving on to the next agenda item here. And this is agenda item, general discussion and update about housing production plan and open space and recreation plan, upcoming zoning amendments, citizens petition, pet daycare and signage, Endicott Street visioning project, and lighting bylaw. And I know this is something that we had, I think we'd spoken about at a previous meeting, just sort of an update on where things are standing. And we thought this was a good opportunity to have a discussion and, have town staff to present. And if we have any questions by the members of the board as well as members of the public, that would be great.
All right. So, yeah, this is some stuff that we will be working on now and for the short term and more of like the longer term, but I'll just kind of go through it and feel free to, we'll stop maybe after each topic and,
Yep,
it's pretty informal, so.
that sounds good.
All right. So the housing production plan, this is something that we've been working with a consultant for the past year plus. It's very close to being finalized or like a final draft. And officially or technically, the planning board does actually have to make a official or formal vote on it for it to be approved to be, for the state to be like, the town of Danvers has completed this. That's like one of the requirements. I know that there is a link of latest and greatest probably on the website. That might be that has not been, easy to find lately in the past couple of weeks. But I will send out the latest and greatest that I have to the group and by the end of the week for sure.
And Josh, can we also see about having something that's, because it will be discussed at the February 24th meeting, where it's accessible by members of the public?
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah. So I'm going to put it on the website. So when I send it out, I'll put it on a Town of Danvers website. So, the public and you folks would be able to, access it easy, not just like a PDF that, is going to be too big and you can't share it and open it and all that. So as you mentioned, yes, we will be discussing it on February 24th, our second meeting in February. I think how Aaron and I had kind of talked through this was that we would at least have an initial discussion, conversation, and I believe the consultant who was will help us. Oh, she's here. Jennifer Goldson's here.
Sorry, she's what?
She's actually on the. She's watching on the meet at Verb.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Spot.
yeah, wasn't trying to do that. Sorry, Jen. So yeah, we'll have like initial conversation about it, and then we wouldn't officially vote on it that night, but at another future meeting, probably somewhere in that like April time frame.
Okay.
But not sure. There's no deadline or anything. It's just.
And I guess the question is okay, once the, this is just more of a general question, so.
Sure.
And this is for, so once the housing production plan is, is prepared, what next? And
Yeah.
Once the planning board votes on it, what
Sure.
happens with it? How is it implemented, or what is the plan? So
It's a plan. It's the select board are also involved. Obviously, the Affordable Housing Trust are involved. I believe there will be recommendations in it. There'll be implementation things that we should be doing as a town. So, is that sort of your question?
Yeah, I guess in terms of like what happens from sort of is there a next step in the process for, because if I remember
The select board
right-
also have to vote on it too, I believe.
Okay.
So we're kind of Aaron and I are trying to coordinate it all. So it's the planning board, it's at a planning board meeting, then it goes to a select board meeting also, and then we're just trying to like merge all the comments and into one document that you both would officially vote.
Planning board would vote on it, and then select board could vote on all or part of it, or?
Sure. Actually, Jen, would you like to comment, or she would probably provide?
Yeah, I can definitely clarify it.
Yeah.
Nice to see you all. Thank you for having me tonight.
And if you could just identify
yeah,
yourself for the record, just for,
Absolutely. My name is Jen Goldson. I'm a planning consultant. I've been working with Danvers for quite some time, working on the plan, and it's ready for your review. The select board would also need to review and approve it. Sometimes that happens even at the same meeting. Sometimes they take it up separately. It doesn't need to be one first and then the other, but typically we have the planning board vote first and then the select board votes, but there's no real order that needs to happen. Once both boards vote to adopt the plan locally, then it goes to the state housing and livable communities. And they review it, make sure it meets the state guidelines, and then once they approve it, you have an approved housing production plan.
got it. Okay. No, thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Welcome.
Okay. Anything further on that one? Because I'll see if the board has any questions.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm all set with that one. If
Yep.
the board.
Okay. Jean, any questions about the sort of this piece?
No, not right now.
Okay. Mike? Nope. Yep. Yeah, the only thing I ask is in terms of the presentation, just in case there are folks who have not, who've not been following this, and it's been a little while since we've seen the
Right.
initial draft.
Right.
As part of the presentation, sort of maybe walking through sort of a little bit of the nuts and bolts, like how we got here, when was the last time this was done, that sort of thing, just so people can have a little bit understanding of the background.
Jen, are you hearing that?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I actually didn't know about that February date, and I do have a conflict that night.
On
But
that
I'm
tw-
happy to.
Okay.
I'm happy to look at a different day to do that presentation. Very happy to do it.
Okay.
Okay, Jen, you and I can work offline, and we'll do the whole scheduling thing.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep.
That sounds great. Yeah, and I think in terms of having that, just to, because some time has passed, just so sort of, so the conversation and presentation can be as self-contained as possible. So, obviously, we're not asking a full, but even just like a short catch-up for people who might not have been following this, and to refresh people's recollection, as they say.
Sure.
Sounds good. So no other questions on housing production plan? This is not a public hearing, but we do have a member of the public here. Any questions? Okay. Let's move on to the next
Yep.
one.
Very similar to the housing production plan is another plan that our department has been working on, particularly the recreation department. But there's a plan that is required by communities. I think it's every 5 years that needs to be updated. Also with the state, very similar to the HPP, is the open space and recreation plan.
It's been going on for a while, because I thought there was some sort of meetings that were sort of.
It's probably been about a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. Maybe like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that.
Okay.
Similar. It's just the board doesn't, unlike HPP, the board doesn't have to make an official vote, but they have to. I guess technically they have to receive knowledge that has been provided to the board, type of thing. And I will send a draft, the latest and greatest, to the group. Similarly, and we
Get it on the town website as well.
Oh yeah, yep, same. I was thinking about maybe doing at the same February 24th meeting, but I think it might make sense. Whatever we decide to do for the housing production plan, I think it might make sense, because I think Aaron is also like to attend. We'd probably do it on that same night. So whenever HPP is, whenever Jen and I line up the HPP meeting, we'll just. I thought we were going to do the 24th, but it's completely fine if we have to move stuff around a little bit.
Stuff around or split it up or something like that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is there a
There's-
how long are the reports in terms of length?
Yeah, they're both. I think the HPP is at least 100 pages, but there's obviously there's figures and pictures and stuff like that. It's not like all words. And the open space is probably in that same 60 to 80, probably
If
probably
someone
more
doesn't
pictures.
have access to a computer, would they be able to come to planning office
Yeah,
and
we could-
review it if they wished?
Yeah, of course. Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
We could accommodate that.
Okay. Great.
Moving on, if we're okay with
Any
that item.
questions on open space? Members of the public? No? Okay. Yeah, why don't we move on to
Yep.
the.
So for the annual town meeting in May, as we speak, there's kind of two zoning amendments that are on the table that at least staff is kind of focusing on. One is more of an external one. It's actually a citizen's petition that someone submitted, and that is related to amending the use table.
Okay.
Because right now, as we speak, pet daycare as a use is not allowed in residential zones 1, 2, and 3. And the proposal would be to modify the use table to so right now in the use table, that use would have an X in that row under those zoning districts, and it would be the proposal on the table, or what's being proposed is to make that particular use a special permit in zones R1, R2, and R3. Because at this time, if someone wants to do that right now, it's we say you're not allowed to do that, it's prohibited, right? The person bringing this forward is saying, at least, and so, with a special permit, are there some instances where this use would be appropriate? So that will certainly be, that will definitely be on the town meeting in May. So we will have to have a public, we will, as the planning board, we have to have public hearings for zoning amendments. And then the other one is more of an internal one, and that sort of alluded to earlier this evening with the Raising Cane's. We, in January of 2025, or February 2025, we did do a decent amount of changes, or kind of like updating to signage. And we're finding that in its implementation and applicability, that maybe we want to modify some of the things. It's not necessarily not working, but when requests, particularly in some of the commercial zoning districts, some of the requirements in terms of like size of the signs and height, probably as we speak in the zoning bylaw, probably are not appropriate, and we're finding that there's sort of a decent rise in signage applications to the Zoning Board of Appeals that probably shouldn't be going to the Zoning Board of Appeals when the requests aren't, the proposed signs are not inappropriate.
Say inappropriate, are looking at, like, are we talking about it's a like size or?
Size. We can't regulate content in any way. Right. So it's, mostly size and height. Size, square footage of the sign and height. So internally, the planning staff, we don't have the official
brightness.
That's something we could potentially look into. We are proposing internally as we speak. It's January 27th. We don't have a definitive yes from the town manager's office to completely go ahead. But if possible, in the next couple of weeks, we will know. But we would like to, what we would call like a signage type of cleanup of the signage section, if potential. Because generally, historically, we don't usually do a lot of zoning amendments and proposals at annual town meeting. They're generally at special.
Sure.
So we were trying not to kind of not take over, but we didn't. If we could do one internal one, that would be our pick.
Okay.
If we are
at the annual town meeting versus at a special.
Correct, or just in the we'd like to maybe fix some of the stuff as soon as possible.
Because a lot of matters have been going to ZBA.
Like when they're not like in a height in the C3 district, where like on Endicott Street in Liberty Tree Mall, right now as we speak, like signs over 10 feet are needing waivers and or variances, and that's probably not an appropriate number. So we're trying to just make when things are appropriate and reality a sign, can be a little bit bigger in that commercial part of town. They probably should be, it should be a by right sign. It shouldn't need be seeking relief. We'll know in the next couple of weeks, but so at least for this annual town meeting coming up, we'll at least have one or two public hearings, zoning related matters, and they would both, one or both would be, the public hearings would have to take place in like March and April, but we'd open them in March just so we could have kind of a robust conversation about both. So
it would be March either 10th or the 24th, I guess, is the.
Sure.
And the, do we know at least at this point when the warrant closes? So when any sort of, because I know there's a whole timing in terms of.
Yeah, I'll definitely know all that stuff, and at our next meeting I could.
Sure.
I know that town meeting is May 18th, and then I work
back.
Have to work back, so it's on a chart upstairs. So that's that item or items.
Okay.
Is that one all set?
Any questions at all?
I just have a question about the pet daycare
Yes.
real quick, Josh.
Yes.
Can you just define again what the difference is between, is it 4 dogs is okay and then over 4 is pet day? I just can't, wasn't there a number that we talked about? Am I just
There was,
misremembering?
it got, it
Does
went,
it just have to do with running a business? Is it not about the number of dogs? What is the?
that one is, we parsed it out, one sec. That we did increase that, the thing that you're talking about, the, because it used to be 3, it was 3 or more. And
I think
it,
so. I
and
guess
then we,
what I'm just trying to understand is like, I
yeah,
think so.
right,
A kennel.
right.
I guess what I'm just trying to understand, like, what the definition of pet, does
Yeah.
it just mean you're running a business, or does it have to do with quantity of dogs? And then from there, is that saying that if I live in R1, that my next door neighbor could be operating a pet daycare out of their house? Like, is that what that basically is saying?
Correct.
And what, I don't know if this is the time to get into
Yeah,
this or not,
right.
but what would be a situation that people are suggesting that would be something that they would want?
Well, sort of like you were saying. So, someone does want to operate a business.
Right, so what would be the reason that a special permit would be granted for like someone in like a residential neighborhood? Like the people were saying there's certain instances where they feel that it would be like the person who's had the petition. So I'm just curious, like were there examples of that, or was it just a general statement?
I think in that particular case, there was a desire at that particular
Location.
to do that, to do a pet daycare.
And these would be approved by the zoning board?
They would probably, I'd have to check into that, but it would probably be without me looking, it would probably be the zoning board of appeals, because generally how our book is set up is that, well,
Because we've done that as a matter of, for uses as a matter of right, hasn't it? I'm trying to recall.
generally how our book is set up when folks want special permits in commercial parts of town, generally the planning board does them.
Like Hollywood Hits, that was for the,
Right, and generally, not all, and it's all just kind of, we could spend days looking and fixing the use table too. But generally, when folks are trying to get special permits in residential zoned uses, generally the ZBA does them. Generally,
And would it ride with the deed, or would it be the person once they move out? Like, how would that?
yeah, right. So,
And if this is not the time to talk,
no,
about
it's
it, that's
fine.
okay.
I could do a little dive or whatever.
Sure.
The person. So let's say a person
If I
got the
applied,
special permit and you got the special permit to do it, you could do it,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't run with the land like a
Right.
variance would.
that person moved, then it would be no longer.
Not necessarily. It could at that address it could happen.
what I mean.
At the address it could happen, but if there's a 2-year break, or like someone did it, you got the special permit and the business, they moved. If the business didn't operate, or the use didn't operate on a daily basis ish for 2 years, then it would expire.
Okay.
So like if you had a house or whatever,
That makes sense.
and you had a daycare, you operated for 10 years and then you moved.
Right.
You just sold your house like it was a regular house, single family house. The next folks don't have to do dog daycare, but if they wanted to do it and there was no like 2-year gap,
Yep.
then they could
What if
continue
they
to.
wanted to change the extent of it in terms of, let's say, double the amount of animals that are present versus the one that was existing that the special permit was granted for?
Yeah, does the special permit limit the amount of dog?
Probably not, but you could potentially, you could potentially, depending on when and if it happened, which as we speak, it probably would be the zoning board of appeals. You could potentially, as a condition, put a cap and put a condition of that nature, as long as it's reasonable.
Sure.
But
So the special permit granting authority could.
you could, in theory, or technically, you could put a condition. I would, caution that it would be, a reasonable condition that they would have to adhere to. But right, if you were to, let's just say they said you could only do 10 and they wanted to do 14, then in my opinion, you would have to come back to the ZBA to modify that special permit if you wanted to go above the number if that makes sense.
This petition already received the signatures?
I believe so, yes.
So what's
Yes.
the next step?
The next step is basically the public hearing with us.
Here, but then
Yep.
it'll be voted on at town meeting?
Correct. And because it's a zoning amendment, it would need 2/3 vote in favor
At town meeting.
at town meeting.
But we don't have a say.
We have a non-binding recommendation.
Right. And then ultimately, it would go to select board and then FinCom. And FinCom could make a recommendation of either favorably or no action.
Sure.
But did those matter at that point once it's voted on by town meeting?
Those would all happen prior to even get, town meeting would be the last step.
Right.
Before, like FinCom and us would,
But does it need approval from those other boards before it gets to town?
yes.
In-
Or it's like a recommendation. Well,
It would still end up on the town meeting floor, but just it depends on like I remember, for example, like the citizens petition for the train station. It had it was a matter of, I believe that if I recall, FinCom had had a recommendation, I believe, of no action, and then ultimately there had to be in order to overturn a no action recommendation, you would have to have a vote to amend the FinCom recommendation. It's the mechanics of the.
yeah, it is kind of complicated, but yeah.
Can you just send us that at
Yeah,
some point?
yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, you just want to know the process?
Oh, no, the petition. I was
Oh.
curious about. Do we have it?
I'm
Yeah.
sure the clerk's office. Yeah, I could get a scan and I'll send it to you folks.
Fine. All
'Cause
right.
I think they only need 10 signatures.
Oh, okay.
I assume this is a
And we're just talking about process too.
Yes.
where like somebody might be
Oh.
in a residential zone. you know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just
No, that's fine.
because
Recognize a member of the public?
Nova Seminole Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. So I live in a residential area, but I assume that this is probably more of a situation where someone in a residential zone has a larger property than, like I'm on 1/10 of an acre, and
Right.
so are most of my neighbors. I assume that's not what would get, I mean, they could go for a special permit, but I assume this is like people with a little bit more room.
I
This
think
says R1, R2, and R3 though, so that's R1 is, I mean.
right.
Are they
so,
all small in R1?
well?
Is it all
So
or nothing? Can we do
That was my
like just
question,
R3?
we could
Or
Can it just be based
work
on
like that?
plot size?
Yeah.
Instead of R1, R2, R3?
the citizens petition of it makes it interesting, and we could get into it as we get closer.
We want to be mindful too, this is not
Yeah.
it would have to be a public hearing for the.
Right. I don't know how. I'm interested in seeing what the petition says now. I was just kind of giving us like a,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
like
sorry.
a no. I don't know. I'd have to see what the proposal is per se.
We want to
And I don't know if we
be
could.
mindful as well, because when we do have any sort of hearings on it for what our recommendation is, then we'd have the opportunity to hear
Right.
from the
Right.
the petitioner as well, and they could present their, because I know that's,
To the zoning board you're talking about.
well, but for the citizens petition.
Oh,
they
for
would-
our- I'm
they-
sorry. I thought you meant when they actually apply
Because
to
it's a
pick up
zoning
house.
matter,
Yeah,
they would be presenting to the planning board for our,
Yeah,
and
sorry.
Josh, it would be for our recommendation, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yep. And just something to think about. Just
Be able to answer any questions that we have.
I think that the R1, R2, R3. So just for informational, generally when you're R1, R2, R1 is 10,000 square foot lots, R2 is 20,000 square foot lots, and then R3 is 30,000 square foot lots. So and I think I know when we say in R1 there are lots of lots that are under 10, right? Like hundreds. But I think that's kind of why it's a special permit in that, some lots in all three of those different zoning districts are all different sizes. So maybe a lot might be R10, but it might be 30,000 square foot, and it is appropriate, right? And so I think that's kind of why it would be a special permit and not like by right? It's like the special permit was appropriate in like it's in some locations, right? It's sort of like that's what makes it special, right? Like it's
So-
sometimes it's okay and sometimes it's not, right?
And talking just in generality, so you could have, in any sort of special permit setting.
Correct.
You could have something that based on where it's
The
situated.
particular's particularness of it,
So you can't just, so something special permit could be, it could be okay in one location, but it may not be in another.
right? And maybe we get to that point, I don't know if we could modify it, but right, maybe it's not we should probably not get too much into it, but
I want to be careful. We're not.
but yeah, we'll get it it will be here soon. But I will send you the petition, and I will learn a little bit more. I could answer a little bit more about it.
Okay.
For sure.
But in any event, that's a preview
Preview, right? That's a good word.
of what will be coming. And Josh, we'll be hearing about that probably, you said, sometime.
Yeah, we'll have to, because we just don't have it'll be in March for sure.
Okay.
At minimum, it'll be that one, and at max, it will be the signage as well.
Got it.
So a min of 1, max of 2. So
Okay.
if you think about it like that. If we're okay with that one. Let me see. I thought I had a thing. Oh yeah. So the Endicott Street Visioning Project. So this is what we've been,
Are you sharing screen, Josh? I don't see if they.
I thought I was, but no, I am. So this is the whole, we've been talking about it for years, and everyone is always interested in this topic. What are we doing with the mall, or what's happening at the mall? So we did apply for a larger grant in the fall. Unfortunately, we did not get it, so we ended up applying for another grant, and we're hoping to hear in late February or early March if we receive funds to help us. It's called like a technical assistance. It's a TAP. It's a TAP grant working with MAPC, and hopefully we awarded the money, and then we would like to.
MAPC, Metropolitan Area Planning Council.
Yep, which is the regional planning agency for Metro Boston. So like 101 communities, which we are one of. We are hoping that we are awarded the grant, and we would like to start doing some visiting sessions starting in the May-June timeframe, and maybe kind of concluding in the fall of later in the year. But this would be a series of meetings and workshops and visiting sessions with the public, and sort of starting that, hey, what do we want to see at the mall? And what do we want to see as a future uses, what was the future, 10, 20, 25 years. And then ultimately, out of these conversations, the second piece to this would be a later date in 2027 would be amending the zoning bylaw to kind of, make that vision happen, essentially, create the zoning that would make what people want to see happen. So, this obviously would be an exciting project and something that most folks in town are definitely interested in. When we do, every year when we do like Citizens Academy, the exercise that we've been doing for several years, and because I think people enjoy it, is we have a map of that area, an aerial, and then we kind of, what do you guys want to see? What do you want, that type of thing, and people usually enjoy it. But we would be doing it for real, So,
just a question for you: the Mass General Brigham parcels. So those are does that? I assume that includes where the MGH as well as where Sylvania.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's all within sort of MGH's ambit.
Yeah, I believe that they own that parcel. Yeah, that it's kind of right now as we speak. If we're looking at MGH to the left, it's like the undeveloped large parcels. Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be Sylvania for a
correct
long time back, and
yep, I remember.
Really, way back was, I believe it was like CBS Hytron, which made vacuum tubes.
Oh. Mm-hmm. So it's just that whole Endicott, what we call like the Endicott Street corridor, right? It's very much commercial, very like regional commercial,
So yeah, I think that'd be good. I think
it's obviously a very visible and visible part of town that people are just, very interested in seeing what lies ahead.
Sure. Any questions with respect to Endicott Street? No? Oh, I think I see a question from,
Oh, absolutely.
again, introduce yourself and.
Sorry, Nova Samade, town meeting member, precinct 1 again. Without the grants, does any of this go to any kind of, does this go anywhere without that $30,000 grants?
Good question.
about-
Is
yeah,
there-
I don't know
is there
about-
a way you do it without the
Yeah, I
grants?
mean, at some point, I'm not sure. I'd have to talk to Brian and or Aaron what we would. It's potentially. It's a pretty big kind of. It's visible. It's our most important commercial part of town. So I think that we'd be interested in having some like other professional assistance and or recommendations, but I don't think that that's necessarily a definite no, but it would be easier. But
Yeah, I think it was definitely a need, so,
yeah.
okay.
And just one other kind of item or update. I know that in February 2025, we brought forth the light, a whole new lighting section that was sent back to the board for more discussion. In terms of like timeline about bringing this back, we don't have anything definitive on the, with the town manager's office about our next special town meeting, but I think in pencil internally in our office, it's probably very likely February of 2027. So working back from that, the public hearings and kind of informal conversations about bringing the lighting back are probably in that time frame at the end of the year.
I think that's helpful, at least having a timeline
Yeah.
for this as well. So
Sure.
in terms of just having discussions, September through October, zoning amendment, public hearing, and then special town meeting, a year from now, it's these all dates, they end up coming, we're getting there faster than we know it. So I think that it's good because I know there's I think you noted here, there's some concerns about sort of toning down the residential lighting requirements, but currently we don't otherwise have a lighting
Correct.
bylaw. And so I think that's even, when we're even talking about signs and such and lighting as well, I think that comes into, that's potentially applicable as well, like brightness and such.
Yep.
Because wasn't the whole idea for the lighting, wasn't the impetus for the lighting bylaw, wasn't it because of some concerns of commercial lighting?
There's some commercial on residential light trespass for sure. That's internally at least started the conversation for us that it would be appropriate and or
Commercial lighting intruding onto residential
Correct.
properties. Okay.
we thought it would be beneficial to include some regulation on this topic. So
Okay. Sounds good. Any questions or comments on that? No? Okay. Great. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate the
yeah, of course.
appreciate the summary here.
But yeah, I think that's all I had from my update.
Okay.
As you said, the dates and times, they seem to creep up quicker than you'd think. Even when something's a year away, it kind of sort of happens quickly. So
Well, that's why I'm glad we have some timelines there, especially when it comes to lighting, just giving us a ballpark in terms of where we're going. So
for sure.
great. All right. It looks like, all right, so then move on then to our next agenda item here. It's our meeting minutes. So it looks like we have minutes from one set of minutes from
Probably our last meeting.
our last meeting of January 13th. The only thing that I was going to, the only minor edit I had here, Josh, is just it was noted at the beginning when I acknowledged the passing of
Yep.
Andrea Daly. And her last name is spelled D-A-L-E-Y
Yeah, correct the spelling. Yep.
as opposed to D-A-L-Y.
Yeah, yeah.
So that
Absolutely,
If
yep.
you can make that correction, that'd be
Yep.
great.
Absolutely will.
Thank you for including that.
Yep.
Any other comments or edits on the minutes? Can I entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes from January 13th, 2026 as amended.
Okay, the motion's by Jean. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Mike DeCoulis. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay, Josh, so what is next on the
Yeah, so we had
meeting on February the 10th?
February the 10th. Yep. So that was the application that we continued earlier this evening, the 98 Newbury Street. I just wanted, at least, Lou, you had indicated that you were not going to be able to attend, or very
I'm
likely.
I'm on work travel that week, and I would have hoped to be able to participate remotely, but it looks like it's more likely than not because of a conflict where I'm from my work travel. It's more likely than not that I will not be able to participate. So
So with that vein, I just if Jean or Mike, if you, I guess if you were able to attend that night, or if there was any conflicts there for you folks.
I'll be there.
Okay.
Yep. And if I'm not able to, again, if I'm able to do it last minute, then I would certainly let you know. Otherwise, I'd not be able to participate, and I'd ask Jean as clerk to be acting chair in that case, and I'd ask Mike to be acting clerk.
Okay.
If that's the case.
Sure.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right. So there might potentially be an approval not required plan, but still working on that with the applicant. But as we speak right now, it's just the 98, it's just that one site plan application for that evening as we speak. But that's it.
Okay, that's great. All right. Anything further by any of the members of the board or Josh and staff?
I'm almost set. Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, motion's made by Jean. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mike. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Very good. Well, our planning board meeting is adjourned. Have a good night, everybody, and stay warm.